Hello, Anthony.
Hello, Claudine.
We're joined today by a very special guest,
Yes,
Tom
indeed.
Groth. Now, Tom
Hello.
used to work here.
That's right.
Yes.
He is an alumni of IRSMedic, parent and parent. And just want to say, we trash a lot of people in the tax resolution industry, and because they deserve it. But I don't mind calling out. I don't mind, giving someone credit where credit's due. Tom is somebody who really cares about his clients and taxpayers, and so he's really doing a great job out there, and he's hustling. And so it's really great to see Tom, and so we always love having Tom around. And,
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, you bet.
Tom had reached out to us with a really great idea. We're going to talk about the upcoming change and how the IRS will be collecting some back tax debts. They're planning to use, once again, private debt collectors as early as spring of 2017. Now, this is part of the FAST Act. This law was actually passed December of 2015. It's just taken a while to implement. The passport law is also on this as well. So the IRS has hired 4 companies, 2 in New York, 1 in California, 1 in Iowa. I did a little digging on them. They don't have the best BBB and Google reviews,
Wow, really?
which I guess wouldn't surprise you since they're debt collectors. But the reviews are pretty consistent in that they're saying that some of the people that work there can be a little brusque,
Right.
maybe
a little
not
bit.
very friendly.
And I also saw a lot of reviews by people who weren't the actual debtor, but somebody they called to try to find some information on the debtor. In the collections world, we call that skip tracing. And so that's what they're attempting to do. And a lot of them, the IRS, that's one of the things that they're able to do with this, because the IRS can't make a lot of the calls themselves. So that's one of the reasons why they like this, or somebody has an idea that this is going to be a good idea.
Wait, but I thought the IRS won't call you.
Wait, right. Hold on a second. Did we miss, wasn't there a story over the last 2 years or so about IRS scams never calling, dirty dozen tax scams, IRS scamming, and people pretending to be the IRS? The IRS doesn't scam you. So what is this about?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it fills up my inbox weekly with news alerts from various localities telling me that the IRS will never call you, and we did have that big bust of the collection, the IRS collection agency in India, where they arrested a bunch of people.
Interesting.
But those calls are still coming in.
Yeah, interestingly enough, right? They didn't get the leaders, so somebody got it, and I did get a call. I've been getting some calls too, pretty quickly. So they've already restarted now. And that is what sort of when we saw this, and you probably had the same thought, Tom. You're like, this is the dumbest thing I could imagine.
We're going to highlight the top 3 dumb reasons why we think this won't work.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
So number 1, I thought, was they already tried this before, right? And it didn't work.
Yep, Tom, this was right before you graduated. So when it was just my dad and I, this was something that came across my desk. I knew about, they had private debt collectors. I think it was 2008, and I knew the process that they would call you. They would call if you had a power of attorney with the IRS. And so one day, Tarn, who's still with us, said, "We have a weird call. I don't think it's legitimate." And I said, "Where are they calling from?" And it was a place in New Hampshire. I was like, "Wait, no, I think that's the one." So I'm on the phone with her. I was like, "Okay, are you really calling from this place?" And so I wasn't giving. They're asking, "What's your client's social security number?"
What?
I said, "Why don't you tell me?" Right?
That's crazy.
And I was like, "Look, I need to know. I need to verify that you're actually from this place." And so she was able to answer some questions. I said, "Okay." And then she says, "All right, so we want to collect it." "Well, actually, we just filed an offer in compromise. So
Bye.
That's the word, right? So it's just like a waste of time. It was a complete waste of time.
Nice talking to you.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Have a good day. That was really the end of it. So they did try it before, and they abandoned it because it was it was actually more than a waste of time, because it created this sort of duplicate. Well, who do you contact too? When somebody owes a debt to the IRS, look, there's usually one person to call. It's called the IRS. Now it's sort of hard to track a case down, and you might need to go to a collection agency to try to find out where it is, because it's in their inventory. That's what it's called.
The program, they're saying, was basically canceled for two reasons. There was a massive outcry of unfair collection practices and abuses of taxpayers' rights. And then they realized that it wasn't cost effective. I don't know why it suddenly is going to become cost effective.
Well, people have changed a lot since 2009 in technology. Technology, leveraging, market disruption, synergies, other synergies, obviously.
Being able to call and harass people might have something to do with it, too.
Artificial intelligence is big now, too. Yeah, a lot of things are different in 2017,
but people who can't pay their taxes still can't pay them.
The economy is booming. People really have a lot more respect for the IRS.
Oh, that's
definitely. Yeah.
Something must have changed. Or I guess it could just be wishful thinking by Congress who says, yeah, here's some hidden money we all forgot about.
definitely hidden money. All right, now reason number 2, we touched on this, but the IRS now, they're always releasing press releases, we'll never call you, we'll never call you. Well, now someone's going to call you. But they've created this rock solid verification process.
Yes.
So the verification process is as follows per the IRS. The private collection agency will send you a letter confirming assignment of your account. The letter will include a unique taxpayer authentication number. And they're going to send you a letter, and the IRS is going to send you a letter, and both letters will have the same verification code. So when they call, they're going to ask for that verification code.
So you grab both those letters that because you've been hanging on to all your, and I'm sure all your clients hang on to all their notices and open them.
Oh yeah.
They not only do they save, they actually open them and read them.
Yeah, no, they don't hand me a stack of unopened envelopes and certified mail from the IRS and say, here. That doesn't happen.
That never happens, right?
No.
That is exactly what happens.
You know who you are.
Who wants to open up something from the IRS? I mean, you know it's a check. When it's a check, you can tell. Hey, that looks like one of those U.S. Treasury checks. Otherwise,
and I'm
why do you want to open it?
Maybe the letter from the private debt collection agency, what's that going to look? Is it just going to, I would maybe assume it's junk mail. I don't even open junk mail. I literally rip it in half and chuck it.
It's going to look like a collection letter, my guess. And my guess is these people have gotten collection letters at least one time before.
Oh, okay.
So that goes in with the rest of wherever they're putting all their collection letters. It probably goes where those go.
But you know what? I mean, nobody's going to get scammed. They need the
you
verification
need
number.
letters. Actually, well, that's funny, Anthony, because I was going to bring you a present, and you said you were going to make me one as well. I was thinking the same
thing for you, yeah.
Because the IRS has an example of the letter up online, and it's in PDF form.
We could edit it.
They could make it harder, right? They could maybe draw some lines on there, put some watermarks on there to at least make my job a little more difficult. But I was estimating it would take me about 5 minutes to look up your home address, make up some bogus amount that you owe the IRS, hand you an envelope from them.
And give it an authentication code.
Oh, an authentication code.
Here it is. Drink more Ovaltine.
And then as long as Tom's tax collection service
just match up, be one of those four.
Sends you one with the same verification code.
And here it is.
It's
so do you have that verification code?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So this is really something else. And I wish we could block IPs from India on this, because I'm sure somebody is they might be taking notes.
Yeah.
But I think it's more important we alert people to say this is just ridiculous. This is so stupid. You can, and this is, look, the IRS isn't the one who said to do this. They're the ones who said, hey, let's get rid of this third-party collection stuff because it's nonsense. Well, it's Congress coming in who knows better to say, oh no, here's a really good idea. Here's some hidden money for you.
Right.
And I'm sure at the IRS, their eyes are rolling like, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead. Oh, it sounds great. It's really great. You can't really get any benefits as good as you can at the IRS. It's a great place to work. Just survive that first year. That's really all you need to do.
What I think is interesting is the previous program. They could discontinue, the IRS could discontinue at any time, but now since it's a law, it's mandated. They're required to use them. They don't have a choice.
It was in the law before, and that's where a lot of the regulations and the law regarding what private collection agencies can and cannot do is still sort of there in the framework, but they added the word shall. So they said they commanded the IRS to use private debt collection agencies, where the IRS has had the option since back when they were doing it in 2006, and that option has never gone away. So they were directed by Congress.
So the agency in charge of collecting revenue determined that this isn't really worth our time. We want revenue, but we can't get it. Now Congress comes in to say, Well, we have a whole bunch of this is sort of the worst sort of idea that came up. It superficially sounds like a great idea. That there's something called Paygo budgeting, and we've talked about this before. That all new spending bills have to be deficit neutral, something like that. They can't add to the deficit. So in order to pay for the spending, you have to find offset somewhere, either savings or revenue.
So this one is not only this, but the passport law.
The
is part
passport
of
law
FAST Act.
was another Paygo thing. Like, oh, here's some hidden money. Let's take away people's passports and free money. And then also with FATCA, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, they just made numbers out of the thin air to say, oh, I think this is going to bring in this amount of revenue.
$1 billion.
$1 billion, sure, why not? Because when these things, at no point, this law is going to completely fail to bring in, I don't think, much at all, pretty much nobody, any additional revenue. And when it fails, like it will, the law that this was passed, FACT Act, it's not going to be repealed, right? Oh, well, we better undo all that spending we did because we didn't get the offsets like we thought. Oh, wait, or it's not like going to be a congressman who's going to say, oh, geez, I'm going to have some explaining to do. Boy,
yeah,
how do I explain this to my constituents? They're going to hold me accountable. This wasn't deficit neutral as I thought it was, like every other bill that is never deficit neutral.
All right, so final reason number 3 that we think this is not a great idea. The reason the majority of people they're going to try to collect on haven't paid is because they can't afford to pay. They can't afford. Suddenly, a private debt collector is going to wave a magic wand and you're going to get $10,000 deposited in your bank account to pay off your debt.
Well, I think you missed a very important step in that process. Okay, magic wand, bad debt, pause, good debt. The pause is what creates it. There you go.
Oh, it's the pause?
It's the pause. So just don't.
Really?
Yeah. So pause. There it is. Now, it's a good debt, which is, Tom, you're in business. I'm sure you have something called bad debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wouldn't you just like to take that magic wand and say, well, that's bad debt. Magic wand, pause.
I always find the longer I wait before I ask for money, the more likely I am to get paid.
Go too. So if someone hasn't paid in years and now you spring this bill on them, they're going to be even
Remember
quicker.
when?
So the IRS knocks on your door and they want money, and you
Yeah.
don't give it to them.
Yep.
But a $13 an hour call center employee knocks on your door, and you're like, "Hey, back off, lady. Here's the money."
I don't know. Maybe he calls you 5 times
take
a
it.
day.
He calls your mom, I guess.
Calls your mom.
You better deal with the IRS. Shut up, Ma. It's so stupid. And by the way, when the IRS is collecting from you quickly, they can levy you at will. Whereas the private debt collectors, Tom, you were mentioning this earlier, that it comes out of the IRS's inventory. Is that right?
Yeah. So 2 things happen. First of all, when it's assigned to the private collection agency, I don't believe the IRS is going to be trying to collect on it.
Double collect. Right?
I mean, I don't know that for sure, but that just doesn't make
There
any
might
sense.
be cases. I wouldn't be surprised to see some.
Yeah.
Mistakes do happen. Yeah.
And then the other question is whether or not the IRS is going to continue trying to levy or place liens while this private debt collection agency is trying to collect. Again, that doesn't make sense because, presumably they want you to have some trust with the person you're talking to every day and saying you still don't have money to pay them, right? So the collection agency themselves doesn't have the power to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, they can't. So basically, I mean, you could tell them to go to hell.
Yeah.
Oh, I got your call. Yeah, I'm returning your call. I'm just telling you to go to hell.
Yeah.
Well, because I know you can't do anything. Okay, sir. Well, I'm going to send your case back to the IRS.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I worked in a call center,
Yeah.
and we dealt with happy things like fruit, and people were much meaner than that. So you can imagine the conversations that they're going to be having.
These debts are so crappy. That's the thing, is that this isn't a regular debt collection. I used to work in collections too. It was a lot of fun. I worked at Ford Motor Credit, which is a pretty good. It's a pretty good outfit. But in our goal out of our portfolio was we're really going for a 2% delinquency rate. People going over 30. That was what our goal was, and it was a challenge. And we had some hits. The economy goes, or right after Christmas, people paid for Christmas, not their car. That'd be interesting. How many cars we repossessed with the Christmas presents in them?
No.
I did that. I'm heartless. I'm like, come on, man. Look, here's my Christmas gift to you: a valuable lesson in responsibility. Oh, I got a lot of things coming to me. I got karma. Karma is really going to come around for that. Oh God, they know where I am now. Oh geez, yeah, they probably didn't forget. I forgot about them. Anyway, the difference here between a bad debt and we had bad debt. They would take the car. We never found them. We'd write it off, and we would do our own skip tracing, try to find them, send them out to a repossession agent, a recovery agent, actually. And they would do their skip tracing, try to find them. And there's some people that they would just beat you. And here's a critical difference between somebody who had a car payment with you and someone who owes a debt. In order to get that car payment, they had to pass some sort of credit check. And we were doing some subprime stuff too, but you would usually have to have a cosigner or something else. It's like, okay, well, you're going to have to pay something. You'd have to put some money into it. When you run up a tax debt, you can have the world's worst credit.
Yeah.
You really can.
Yeah.
And maybe you do. So the chance you're getting all this bad debt of people who never pay debts, whose entire existence is about not paying for things. So how is this? They're really the worst people in the world to try to collect from, and they're always moving around, and they're always finding someone else to be their front. They're not really great people. And Tom, I think maybe we should talk about this. At some point we were just experimenting with something. If you see those late night TV commercials about settling your taxes, and they're sort of promising never pay the IRS again. And so we're like, all right, well, maybe we'll just try to get some leads from that. Like, how bad could it be? So what was that experience like, Tom?
Well, we had some people calling us specifically. A lot of them wanted to know why the IRS took their refund, and wanted to know if they could get that refund back.
Right. So so they owed the IRS money.
Yeah, they weren't being levied. They weren't on an installment agreement. They were probably CNC already.
Right.
Currently not collectible already. Right. But the IRS was still keeping their refund because they had a tax debt, and that's money that the IRS isn't going to send them money back if they owe them money.
Right.
And they wanted to know if they could never pay the IRS their refunds back again, even though they owed them money.
Yeah. So with this experiment didn't last long. We realized that this was they're marketing to people who just are trying to scam. And so that ended pretty quickly. That the normal person calling a reputable tax resolution firm is going to be reputable. The person calling kind of the scumbag one, guess what they're going to be?
Or on a whim calls somebody they heard an 800 number for.
Right, on a whim.
Yeah.
I
should find out about that program.
Yeah, I should find out about it. I know nothing about who this person is. Have no idea where they are, so I should call them. Right, that person who's putting that much effort into researching who they're going to hire.
True.
Probably doesn't put a lot, or is just looking to scam. And of course, I wonder if we're able to do this for them, right? If we were able to get their refund, do you think they would want to pay us?
Probably not.
Probably
Maybe
not.
after they got the refund.
We'll put them on
they'll put the check
extended
in the
credit.
mail.
We'll push you out extend pay. We'll put that out a few months for you. Yeah, so it's just really most people you go into things with a bias of who you are. That a lot of people think, well, I don't see how anyone could ever pay money to the IRS. You just you pay your bills. That's the way things aren't for a lot of people. And when I had a lot of exposure to marginal people in marginal situations, and you learn that all of this debt is really, really crap. You're not going to get it. There's a reason why the IRS can't collect on it, and these people are going to burn you.
You know what I'm wondering too? Just sort of talking about the whole people calling and everything like that. A lot of people don't realize that tax debt is dischargeable in bankruptcy. But I wonder how many people get encouraged by a private debt collector calling them for their IRS debt to look into it a little bit.
Oh, my God.
And maybe pull the trigger on a bankruptcy. I mean, that's the reason why a lot of people I talk to who are looking at the bankruptcy angle just want to know how it impacts their taxes. They're annoyed that they're getting calls from their creditors all the time, and they just can't take that pressure anymore.
And that is how
I wonder if this sort of pushes people in that direction in a way that's really just going to wipe things out.
Backfire, right? Because that is how a lot of bankruptcy attorneys market. It's, are you being harassed with phone calls? Yes, now I am. I am.
Wow,
and so many times, and with bankruptcy, so many times it's sort of an after effect. Somebody will come in and we'll take a look, like, hey, if it's a sensitive topic. I mean, it's sensitive. You mentioned bankruptcy to people. It is a very sensitive thing. Owing $100 or $1 million to the IRS, that's not a big deal. Filing bankruptcy to get rid of it, whoa. What do you think that's going to make it look
Crazy
like?
talk.
For us, and look, it's not us. It's our, it's someone else. So we're not in that. We're not living that. So I understand. It's personal to them.
Of course.
So many times when we're telling them, bankruptcy might help you. The ones who would say yes are like, oh, I was already going to do that for my credit card debt. I didn't know I could discharge it. It's like, okay, well, do it right, because if you do the timing wrong, you won't be able to discharge it. But if you do it right with a good bankruptcy attorney, there it is. It's completely gone. So that's a pretty good insight, Tom. That really could make people think to contact a bankruptcy attorney to say, okay.
Yeah, because people who know enough about bankruptcy know that that maybe some debts aren't dischargeable. What they also know is that you file for bankruptcy, and people who are trying to collect money from you can't keep trying to do that. They got to stop. There's that automatic stay. So some people are really just looking for that sort of instant relief. And if someone's harassing you enough, or calling your mom and dad, leaving messages on your answering machines, trying to get in touch with you, it might push you in that direction. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
So I say we give this a year from when it launches.
Wow.
A year.
Just one thing, though. I realize that I kind of might be trashing everybody who gets a call from a collection agency. That sort of implied that if you're getting a call from them, you are one of the lowest of the low, because basically there's nothing there to get from you. Just realized I did that, and I certainly don't mean to do that.
Maybe that's not fair.
That's not exactly fair. Not exactly true. I would just say that, and things happen in our clients' lives.
Yeah.
And so good people do get into tax trouble and they get misled down the wrong path. That could really be the thing. They're told something wrong by the IRS, something wrong by one of these tax resolution companies, and they're ripped off again and again. So I'm not saying that everybody.
It's too late. Somebody's going to call you an a-hole in the comments.
It is YouTube comments. You can't. Yeah.
And well, it could be too that whoever is actually getting assigned to these collection agencies, they're lucky to a certain extent, from the perspective that one of the groups of people that's going to be assigned to that, 1/3 of the statute of limitations has run.
Yeah.
So the IRS has less time to collect. There's also a real benefit for people that are being called by collection agencies to contact a lawyer, because they still have to follow the rules that the IRS follows.
That's right. And you have something up your sleeve, don't you?
Well, there is, they do have to follow the Fair Debt Collection Act, or Fair Debt Collection Practices, but they also have to follow certain code provisions regarding taxpayer rights. So some of them are, you have a representative, and they know you have a representative, so it's unclear in practice what that's going to mean from our angle. But they call you anyway instead of calling your representative. Well, that's a violation of your rights. It's pretty clear. And if there are any damages, even $1 in damages, which I'm assuming can be easily come up with, then attorney's fees are actually recoverable in lawsuits against these private debt collection agencies.
Wow.
So you would be willing to sue a private debt collection agency that's just trying to collect money for the federal government? You would do that. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I probably would.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll send you all of ours. We'll absolutely do that. Yeah. So there's something for you, so they can contact Tom and have fun with that. Oh man, that's going
Tom,
to be.
how would they contact you?
They could find me on my website, tom.tax, or danburyctattorneys.com.
Tom.tax is easy to remember.
Tom.tax.
That's the one. That's the one I would go with.
Yeah.
So
I also got a new phone number, 844-4-TOM-TAX, but nobody ever calls me there.
844. That's a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one ever calls me there.
That sounds like a private debt collector's phone number.
Yeah, I'm thinking a year from when this launches. Tom, you come back.
Yeah.
We'll do some research. There might be a TIG to report by then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
Saying
going to
it's
be
terrible.
brutal. Yeah, it's as terrible as we predict it to be.
Maybe a FOIA for the contracts. I was thinking
Oh.
about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They'd probably deny it for law enforcement or something. They'd make up some reason.
Just submit two. They'll probably forget the reason in the first. Let's do it again.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always good to have you anytime. If you do have a debt issue that you need assistance with, don't hesitate to contact us, 888-727-8796, info@IRSMedic.com. You can like and comment below. Just don't call Anthony an a-hole. He did apologize.
I did.
And you can subscribe to our channel for more awesome tax updates. Thanks for watching.